In this video, we're going to review how to add and subtract fractions. So for our vocabulary, you are going to draw a big fraction and you're going to write numerator on the top of the fraction and denominator on the bottom of the fraction. And then we're going to remind ourselves what those different things represent. So the denominator tells you how many sections the whole is divided into. So the bigger the number, the smaller the section. As you can see up on my top little picture, in the first one, it's broken into 2 sections, 1 and 2. Next, it's broken into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the last one, it's broken up into 8 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numerator, on the other hand, tells you how much or how many of those sections are included in this fraction. So in the first one, there was 1 of the 2 sections, hence the 1 in the top. On the second one, there were 2 of the sections, hence the 2 here. On the last one, there's 4 of the sections, hence the 4 on the top. And then we can also take a moment to notice that all 3 of these pies shown here, they are equivalent, right? They're all half a pie. The 4/8 is the same as 1/2 because we still have half a pie and 4 is half of 8. So we have half of the pie, or 4 out of the 8 sections. All right, so let's start by adding fractions that have the same denominator. The same denominator is also sometimes called having a common denominator. Common just means same, like something similar. So let's say that we're adding 1/8 and 3/8. So first I have 1/8 here, and then I have 3/8 here. And I'm trying to figure out how much I have when I add them together. So I would have 1 plus 3, giving me a total of 4 of the 8 pieces filled in. We notice, not coincidentally, that this is the same as if we were adding 1 and 3 and then keeping that denominator the same. We have 1/8 plus 3/8 gives us a total of 4/8. Now we should also notice on our fraction bar that half of the pieces are filled in. We've got 4 out of 8, that's half. And 4/8 can be simplified then to 1/2. Notice this is the same thing as noticing that the greatest common factor, the GCF of 4 and 8, is 4, and then dividing the numerator and the denominator by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, 8 divided by 4 is 2. That's our method for simplifying fractions, and we're going to be doing that a lot. Okay, so now we're going to do 7/8 minus 5/8. I want you to pause, see if you can figure it out, and don't forget to simplify your answer if possible at the end. All right, so to picture this, we start out with 7/8, and then we take away 5 of them, leaving us with 2/8, and the GCF of 2 and 8 is 2. So I divide numerator and denominator by 2, leaving me with 1/4 as our final answer. Now let's try it when they do not have the same denominator. So fractions with different denominators. So let's say we're trying to add 1/4 and 2/3. So this does not work out quite as nicely as the first type. I can't just add the 1 and the 2 and get a 3, and then add the 4 and the 3 and get a 7. You can just tell by looking at it that that's not nearly enough. That does not work. Instead, what we have to do is we have to change our fractions so that they do have the same common denominator. It's like making it so that we're talking in the same language so that these things can be combined. So first, let's go ahead and figure out what that common denominator is going to be. In order to do that, we need to find the least common multiple. So you can use any strategy that you want. I'm going to use a cake problem. We're going to find the LCM of the denominators. Make sure you've written down that this is the step, the LCM of the denominators. So that's 4 and 3. They don't have any common factors. So I just do 1 times 4 times 3, and I get 12. The LCM of the denominators is 12. So that means I need to rewrite both fractions so they have a denominator of 12. And we can kind of picture what this looks like, although it's certainly not the most efficient way to do it, by breaking up my fraction bars so that they're all in 12ths now, like that. And now we can see that they're in chunks that are roughly the same size. And I could add on, because they're all 12ths, right? They're all exactly the same size, except that I'm not very good at drawing, but they should be the same size. So now I have 3/12 plus, I wonder how many are here. I guess that would be 2, and then I broke them up into 4, so 8/12. So that would give me a total of 11/12. So let's see how to find that without having to draw it out. So we start off with 1/4 plus 2/3, and we're going to rewrite this so it's a certain number of 12ths added together, because 12 is that common denominator, which is the least common multiple of our two denominators. So we need to know what number of 12ths is equivalent to 1/4 and what number of 12ths is equivalent to 2/3. Well, we know that when we went from 4ths up to 12ths, that involved multiplying by 3. We did times 3 there. So it makes sense that we do the same thing for the numerator. So we're going to do 1 times 3, which will give us 3 as the numerator for the 1/4, which matched with what happened up here, right? We broke that up and got 3 of them. Then we do the same thing for the other side. So here it was multiplying by 4, because 3 times 4 gives you 12. And so then 2 times 4 would give you 8. And then now we can add them just like what we did last time. So 3 plus 8 gives us 11/12. Okay, so now let's try it again. This time we are going to subtract. The process is exactly the same, but we have new fractions with new denominators, which means they're going to have a new LCM, or a new common denominator. And I want you to pause and see if you can figure it out. You don't need to draw the fraction bars, but make those common denominators and subtract. Pause now. Okay, so for my first step, I'm going to find my LCM of 6 and 5. And I found that to be 30, because there's no other common factors. So then I rewrite my fractions with 30 as the denominator. And 6 times 5 gave me 30. So then I'll do 5 times 5 to get 25. And over here, 5 times 6 gave me 30. So 2 times 6 would give me 12. So now I'm going to subtract. I'm going to do 25 minus 12, and that's going to leave me with 13/30ths, which cannot be simplified. So I'm done. If you didn't get that as your answer, maybe go back and rewatch the explanation for the first one and make sure you understand where that 5's coming from, how we're making the numerators on these fractions. That's maybe the trickiest part of this. When you're ready, go ahead and keep going for that practice problem at the end. Okay, for your practice problem, you are going to add 4/15 and 3/10. Make sure to show all your work, simplify your answer at the end if possible, and we'll check this over in class tomorrow.